The Cultural Gardens is 270 acres that was donated by Rockefeller in the early 1900s to the city of Cleveland, and it was for the purposes of, the city to have gardens and of all the communities, and to bring unity and beauty to Cleveland. And HPS was the sponsors of the Greek Cultural Gardens. They've been the sponsors since 1994, and they took over the sponsorship of the gardens. The Greek Cultural Gardens was actually started by another organization called the Grecian Garden Association. This was started in 1939, 1940, right around that was the date. So I said, why wasn't this frieze? They were always talking about putting this frieze project on the wall of the garden, and it was a sculpture of 34 famous Greeks: Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. So this was the intent, and I wanted to learn about it and what happened to its history and why wasn't it done.
My mom and I decided to go to the Cultural Gardens. It wasn't really that far for us. We lived at 103rd in St. Clair. We got there and there were already a couple hundred people assembled. And it turns out that the date that I finally uncovered is June 2nd, 1940. So it was Mayor Harold Burton. And he didn't live very far from us. He lived in the Bracknell area. Mr. Burton was very eloquent in making all of the Greeks that were there feel very good about their history and their culture and their faith. He talked about all of the gifts that the Greeks have given to the world. And I was so impressed. I was a 10-year-old. I wasn't quite 11. And I loved my ethnicity. I thought the world of it.
It's been fun. I mean, now it's a whole different thing. Sometimes I go to the gardens and I just sit there for an hour myself, just meditate or just think. It just clears your head. Part of the Hellenic Preservation Society, they do many things. They have a lecture each year called the Collis Lecture at the Art Museum. They've sponsored other organizations and things like that. They've helped support things. But whenever it came around to when are we going to do this frieze project is hundreds of thousands of dollars to carve this out of stone, and it just never was the biggest priority. I mean, it's a big project, and you really have to love it. You have to go there, and until you go there and see it and understand it. Lately, all of my focus has been on education and trying to help the youth of our community, specifically the Greek youth, but all the youth. Any groups in Cleveland, we try to sponsor different organizations. Young ladies and gentlemen's club, the Boys and Girls Club. So I got involved with this. I fell in love with this project. I looked back and I saw one of the past presidents of HPS was Andrew Chikalis. He's the one who actually brought it, I believe, to our organization, to HPS. I met Andy and talked to him a little bit about this, and he started giving me information. He goes, "Lou, this is a great project. You should get behind it." And I agreed with him. I saw his passion that was never fulfilled. So this is in the past 30 years. So before that, what happened? This was originally dedicated in 1940. So that's what happened. And the city formed the Cultural Garden Federation. That's how I learned about this project from Andy. And he's the one that really has motivated me to see this come to life. So he has given me so much information, if we go back and look at all of the history on the cultural gardens and the Greek gardens, you will see hundreds of names from 1939, 1940, 1945 of our grandparents, of anybody in Cleveland community. Their names were on this plaque. And what happened in 1940, the war, things coming out of the Depression, World War II, things got sidelined. And this was a lot of money. Back then, of course, it was only 50 or 60,000, but nobody had 50 or 60,000 back then either. Again, so 30, 40, 50 years later in 1990, Andy brought it to the HPS and said, here's a project that we should try to fulfill. Up until recently, they've been maintaining it. 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, HPS, which I'm still a member of HPS, I'm on the board, but we decided to have a new organization that's solely behind the Greek garden, that will solely push this, because again, HPS does many different things for the community. We finally raised a few bucks, and HPS contributed the first down payment to this project to get it started back in 2022, I think, September of 2022. And we had a little ribbon cutting ceremony at the gardens with an artist that Andy Chikalis found 10 years ago. He'd searched the world to find a stone cutter, a master stone cutter. And the guy he found, Nicholas Fairplay, he's from England. So we had a dedication. He was there. We have drawings. Can you see this behind us? The drawing. And this is what it's going to look like. It's a 15 feet long by 5 feet high, and the relief will be deep in the faces, and the stone will be cut. So it was started last November, which will take 1.5 years or 2 years to do. People like El Greco, Socrates, Plato. Where's the list? Okay, there's 34 famous Greeks. From our history, Archimedes, Pythagoras, so Homer. These are, things that I would like our kids, our youth, to learn about our history. Yeah. So this is what I would love for our community, and not only like I said, not only the Greeks, but for our kids, for the kids of Cleveland. It's the cultural gardens, Italian gardens, Greek gardens, Irish gardens, Serbian gardens, African American gardens, Lithuanian gardens, Polish gardens. And I would love to start having classes at all of the gardens. So this year we started having classes, educational classes, at our Greek garden. And this is my hope as a board member of the Cultural Garden Federation, is that all of the gardens start having educational classes at their garden to teach people about the community, the Egyptian community, the Serbian, the Syrian. This is my goal, and hopefully the Greeks will lead the way and have a classes, and that's my goal, just to educate the people and to make the gardens the beauty that it should be. I mean, it brings people together when we're there. Each year the gardens for the past 30 some years has had what's called One World Day. Last year there was 30 or 40,000 people there. This is how we want to bring the attention of the gardens to our community. And again, the gardens have been around for a long time, but it's a hidden treasure. There's acres of diamonds sitting there that very few people know about, and we need to show them. It's right here in our backyard. There was HPS, the Hellenic Preservation Society. We've decided that because of the magnitude of this project, it was too big, and we needed to have just people that are focused in on just the garden and not other ideas.
We realized that there was just so much involvement that it really required its own branch from top to bottom, its own treasury, its own workers, everything from organizing through all of that. And HPS, Hellenic Preservation Society, wants to assist in that, but not run it. And the cooperation that we have, that we're trying to build for the Hellenic Preservation Society, aims to tackle a lot of the local representation who's going to be involved on the level of volunteers, on the level that anything that our network of people can do to help with that.
What we'd love to do is continue to have a sponsorship from people, maybe have an endowment set up so that each year we can have these educational classes for our youth, for the community, especially the Greek community. One of the people on the wall is Euclid. So Euclid was famous for mathematics. We can have mathematics professors. We've talked to them from some of the universities that would come down and talk about specific ideas. The Greeks have contributed so much to civilization, and this is the gift of Greece to civilization, and that's the bottom of that we have on the frieze, and this is what we need to do as a Greek community, not only in Cleveland, but I hope to ask people from California to New York. Here we have this beautiful few acres of land, with the pillars in front of the gardens. It's magnificent. Okay, so last month we had a professor that spoke on Plato's. We had a class there. We spoke on Plato's Meno. Talked for 2 or 3 hours. Dr. Peter Gilbert. He's the psalty at the St. Constantine and Helen. The first one, we had a summer camp for the kids, and another one of our people that is helping us, her name is Dr. Kelly Ponicus. She put together a summer camp from St. Paul's Church, and the Garden Association sponsored the buses to bring 2 busloads of kids and their families. And we had foods and tents set up, and the kids did little plays at the garden. So these are the type of things, and I was just extremely happy because so many of the parents, let alone the kids, go, we didn't even know this was here. We didn't know the gardens were here. Thank you, the Garden Federation, for sponsoring the buses and the food, and we had a really nice deal. We invited the Greek consul who was here. It was beautiful. And so, and he's since posted on Facebook how much he loved it. There's nothing like it anywhere in the world.